Todd Monken and owner Jimmy Haslam are removing Browns reporters and insiders access to the team due to a lot of the negativity and lies that they have been spewing, and particularly about, Shedeur.
The Cleveland Browns have drawn a hard line, and the media is on the wrong side of it. Todd Monken and owner Jimmy Haslam are removing Browns reporters and insiders access to the team due to a lot of the negativity and lies that they have been spewing, and particularly about Shedeur Sanders. Todd Monken has finally had enough. The new Cleveland Browns head coach that made a deliberate, calculated decision, and the message to the Cleveland media is crystal clear: you are not welcome here anymore. Monken has made the decision to shut reporters out of Shedeur Sanders' training sessions, and when you understand exactly why he did it, you will not blame him for one single second. Because here is the thing. We just spent an entire season watching what happens when the media has unrestricted access to a young quarterback's every move. We watched Rex Ryan scream on national television. We watched Tony Grossi mock a rookie for being sore. We watched Mary Kay Cabot turn a speeding ticket into a character assassination. And through all of it, Shedeur Sanders had to wake up every single morning, strap on his pads, and go to work knowing the entire Cleveland media machine was sharpening its knives. Not anymore. Todd Monken has seen enough, and he is doing something about it. This is not a random or emotional reaction. Monken is a first-time NFL head coach at age 60. Arriving from his role as offensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens under John Harbaugh. He has spent decades in football, both at the collegiate and professional level, and he arrived at the Browns facility with a clear vision. One of the very first people to greet him in his office was Shedeur Sanders himself, signaling the tight bond between coach and quarterback from day one. The message Monken has delivered to the locker room and to the outside world is straightforward. No distractions, no narrative-chasing reporters, no cameras hunting for a moment to turn into a headline. Just football. What the Cleveland media did to Shedeur Sanders, the full record. To understand why Monken made this decision, you have to go back and look at exactly what happened to Shedeur Sanders during his rookie season in 2025. Because the Cleveland media did not just criticize a struggling quarterback, they ran a coordinated campaign of negativity, character attacks, and manufactured controversy designed to generate engagement, not to inform anyone of anything. Rex Ryan went on live national television and lost his composure completely, shouting at the top of his lungs that Shedeur Sanders was not doing enough to get on the field. A veteran media personality, someone who has been around professional football his entire life, sat in front of a camera and publicly degraded a rookie quarterback. And here is the critical context that Ryan conveniently ignored. Shedeur Sanders had received 0 first-team repetitions in training camp. The organization never gave him a fair foundation to succeed from, and Ryan never once mentioned that. Here's what Ryan said on air, word for word. Something's missing. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks, he runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback, with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback you should be. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now. Where were the headlines asking why the organization had not prepared their 5th overall pick properly? There were none. Because the media did not want that story. That story did not get clicks. That story did not stir controversy. Attacking Shedeur Sanders did. Tony Grossi took it even further. When Shedeur mentioned arm soreness, a completely normal, completely human thing for any quarterback to experience, especially one working through an injury and limited reps, Grossi went on air and mocked him. He questioned Shedeur's toughness. He questioned his commitment. He suggested that Sanders had no right to be sore, given how little he had been used. Think about how backwards that is. The organization gave him limited reps, and when his body responded the way any athlete's body would, a reporter used it as ammunition to question his character. One observer on air put it plainly. Obviously, it was counterproductive because he's got a sore arm. Okay, so you're using that as a negative against the kid. I don't understand how, Jesus God, would you give him a chance? What? Here's to God? 'Cause his arm's sore? What, that's a negative? That the kid's got a sore arm? 'Cause he's working through arm? Get the hell out of here. And then there was Mary Kay Cabot, the lead Cleveland Browns writer for Cleveland.com. the person whose job it is to cover this team fairly and accurately. She called Shedeur Sanders undisciplined. She called him narcissistic. She spent weeks and weeks writing piece after piece pushing the idea that Dillon Gabriel was the better quarterback, that maybe the Browns had made a mistake, that Gabriel deserved more opportunities. She built an entire narrative designed to undermine a rookie before he ever had a real chance to prove himself. And she did it week after week, article after article, with the full platform and credibility of a lead beat writer behind her. The irony is that Cabot also reported one of the most telling moments of Sanders' character during training camp. As she noted on July 25, 2025, Sanders arrived to the media tent during a session when linebacker Jerome Baker was speaking at the podium. When reporters started to head to the other podium after noticing Sanders, the young quarterback very quietly told Cleveland's PR team that he wouldn't talk until Baker was done. Cabot herself described it as a cool move. Even his critics had to acknowledge the class and professionalism he showed. Yet the character assassination continued regardless. Monken draws the line, and he is right to do it. Todd Monken did not make this call because he is afraid of accountability. He did not make it because the Browns have something to hide. He made it because he watched what the Cleveland media did to his quarterback last season, and he decided that protecting his players' preparation environment is more important than giving a group of agenda-driven reporters content for their next hot take. The argument the media will make is that access is essential, that reporters have a right to observe, question, and report. But that argument only holds up when reporters actually do their jobs. When Tony Grossi mocks a quarterback's injury, that is not journalism. When Mary Kay Cabot turns a speeding ticket into a character assessment, that is not journalism. When Rex Ryan screams on national television about a rookie who was never given first-team reps, that is not journalism. So, if the media is not going to do their job honestly, Todd Monken has every right, every responsibility, to decide what access they are given. Highlight what was missing last season. Shedeur Sanders received 0 first-team reps in the preseason. The media never once questioned the organization for that decision. They never asked why the 5th overall pick in the entire NFL draft was being denied the foundational repetitions that every quarterback needs to develop. And then, the same media that never questioned that decision turned around and blamed Shedeur when things were not immediately perfect. That is the environment Monken is refusing to recreate. Now that Shedeur has proven what he is capable of, Monken is making sure that the preparation environment going forward is protected. The people who spent last season tearing his quarterback down do not get a front-row seat to his development. As one analyst close to the situation put it, now that he's not there, they haven't been getting the level of access, and that's why they've been acting so on edge. Who Shedeur Sanders really is, the record speaks for itself. While Ryan was shouting, while Grossi was mocking, while Cabot was pushing the narrative that Dillon Gabriel was the better option, Shedeur Sanders was doing something remarkable. He said absolutely nothing. He understood that these media personalities were doing what they do for clicks, for views, for controversy. He understood that their job was to create narratives, not to report truths. And he made the decision that he would not let their shifting, agenda-driven takes dictate his confidence or his focus. When he finally got his opportunity later in the 2025 season, he went out and performed. Sanders started Cleveland's final 7 games of the season, taking over after fellow rookie Dillon Gabriel suffered a concussion in Week 11. He completed 57% of his passes for 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He also ran for 169 yards and a touchdown. Critically, his 11.7 yards per completion was the 10th highest among all qualifying quarterbacks that season, a number that reflects the kind of explosive playmaking ability that the numbers at the top of the box score don't always capture. He led the Browns to back-to-back victories over divisional rivals, defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals to close out the season. He showed everyone in those stadiums and everyone watching at home exactly what the 5th overall pick in the NFL draft is capable of when given a fair opportunity. And what happened next? Every single one of the critics flipped, without apology. The offseason told an equally clear story about Sanders' character and commitment. Owner Jimmy Haslam noted that he saw Shedeur working out early in the morning when he visited the facility weeks into the offseason. I was in Cleveland 2 or 3 weeks ago and was working out early and he was coming in. He's been in Cleveland most of the winter, and I think that says a lot for his dedication to wanting to be an NFL quarterback and understanding what it takes. His body looks better. I think he's been working hard. Monken publicly confirmed this at the NFL owners' meetings in Phoenix in March 2026. Browns HC Todd Monken notes that Shedeur Sanders has been in the building a bunch the last few months, working out. Dillon Gabriel, as far as he's aware, has not, as ESPN's Peter Schrager reported. That contrast alone says everything about where Shedeur Sanders' head is heading into his sophomore season. The QB competition, what's really at stake in 2026? Heading into the 2026 season, Todd Monken has confirmed an open quarterback competition between Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, and Dillon Gabriel. But he has also made clear that reps will not be evenly divided. They will go to the players who give the team the best chance to win, based on how last season ended. At the NFL Combine, Monken was direct about his assessment of Sanders. Sure he can. I think what you see is elite playmaking ability. That's in him. You've seen it. We've seen it. We've seen it. You saw it in college. You saw it on tape last year. Sure, there's a ways to go, but what rookie isn't? I mean, what first-year player doesn't have a long way to go? So, I'm excited to get started with him, and all of our quarterbacks, and all of our players. The math on Deshaun Watson is straightforward. He has not played good football since 2019. That is 6 years ago. Since then, he has missed 2 full seasons, broken his shoulder, and ruptured his Achilles tendon twice. The Cleveland Browns traded 3 first-round picks to the Houston Texans in March 2022 and gave Watson a fully guaranteed 5-year, $230 million contract. He did not play a single snap in 2025. Monken was not in the building to evaluate Watson with his own eyes. He was, however, watching every snap that Shedeur Sanders took. Even Fox Sports analyst Emmanuel Acho raised the question of why Sanders should follow the direction of a first-time head coach. If I'm Shedeur, why am I listening to Todd Monken? What have you won on an NFL level? Shedeur's response required no press conference. He posted the official Browns welcome image of Todd Monken to his Instagram, adding, "Time for work," alongside a fire emoji and a watch emoji, a reference to his song Perfect Timing. The message was unmistakable. There is also a backstory here that matters. It was reportedly Monken, in his capacity as Ravens offensive coordinator, who pushed for Baltimore to draft Sanders before the Browns selected him. Monken's first words to Shedeur when they met in his new office confirmed it. "We tried to draft your ex-split of last year. It all worked out. Someday we'll get a chance to talk about that." That kind of history does not happen between a coach and a player who are indifferent about each other. The bigger picture, building a franchise quarterback the right way. Shedeur Sanders is entering a critical phase of his NFL development. The foundation he builds this offseason, the chemistry he develops with his teammates and coaching staff, the command he gains over Monken's offensive system, the mental clarity he carries into training camp, all of that matters enormously for what happens in 2026 and beyond. General Manager Andrew Berry laid out the organizational goals clearly. I think the biggest thing that we want to see from Shedeur is just continued growth. I think he grew a lot from start 1 to start 7. I think certainly playing more efficiently, not putting the ball in harm's way as much, would be important, while maintaining the ability to produce out of structure and generate explosive plays. None of that development is helped by having reporters on the sideline hunting for a quote they can twist, or a moment they can frame negatively. The preparation environment that Monken is building, closed, focused, and distraction-free, is not a defensive measure. It is a deliberate professional choice by a head coach who understands what his quarterback needs in order to take the next step. The organization's message is unified. Jimmy Haslam has praised Sanders' work ethic. Andrew Berry has pointed to his growth. Todd Monken has publicly labeled his playmaking ability as elite. What the Browns are building around Shedeur Sanders is not a narrative. It is a structure. And that structure requires protecting the environment where he grows from the people who spent last season actively working against him. The verdict: a coach chose to protect his player. Todd Monken watched the Cleveland media attack Shedeur Sanders without evidence, flip without apology, and build narratives without accountability across the entire 2025 season. You watched Rex Ryan publicly humiliated a rookie who had never been handed a single first-team repetition. He watched Tony Grossi weaponize an arm injury against a player's character. He watched Mary Kay Cabot construct a weeks-long case for why the Browns should abandon their quarterback before that quarterback had ever truly been given a fair shot. And then, he made a decision. The decision that any good coach, good leader, and good person would make. He chose to protect his player. Shedeur Sanders had already demonstrated the mental fortitude to handle everything that was thrown at him. He stayed calm when Ryan was shouting. He stayed focused when Grossi was mocking. He stayed locked in when Cabot was trying to replace him in the press before he ever really had his shot. And when his moment came, he delivered. Now Todd Monken is making sure that going into next season, the only voices in that building during preparation are the ones that are actually there to help Shedeur Sanders become the quarterback this franchise drafted him to be. The goons can watch from outside. The work happens within. What do you think about Monken's decision? Was he right to block media access? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest content. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.